Do you really know just how heavy 24 hours of metal music really is? About the weight of your mobile phone. Download our free andrewhogue.com iPhone and Android apps now. That way, you'll never be far away from us. This is Andrew Hogue, of course, for andrewhogue.com, still Australia's only 24/7 metal radio station. Now, Australians' terminology of the word legend gets thrown around far too often, and generally to people that don't really deserve that kind of, notoriety. But I tell you, the man that we have on the line right now absolutely deserves that moniker. He is none other than Mille Petrozza from the mighty Kreator. They've just released album number 15 called Hate über alles, and it's just going to be an absolute pleasure to chat again with this great man because it has been a while. And let's make Mille welcome to andrewhogue.com. Guten Morgen, meine Metalbruder Mille.
Guten Morgen, mein Metalbruder Andrew.
How you doing? It's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's been a while, right? Since I think last time was in 17 when we did Gods of Violence.
Yes, it has been a while. So, again, I reckon we'll just jump straight in to talk a bit about the brand new record, which, again, is just a cracker. And it has been, I think, 5 years since we heard a last Kreator album. And I know that the pandemic has also added delays to a lot of artists putting out records, during this time. But working with Arthur is awesome because I believe he really has such a fresh ear today as a producer, and he's quite up and coming. So now that the record's out, album number 15, have you had a chance to sort of remove yourself from the process of writing it and get into sort of listener mode? How do you feel about it right now, Mille?
I feel just as strong as I felt when I was writing the music. I think it's one of the most diverse Kreator albums. It has a lot of variety. It has like a couple of songs that are not so expected from what we've done in the past. It's we dared a couple to do some more out of the box songs, and but on the other hand, it's a very intense, very brutal record. So yeah, I'm still enjoying it.
Well, you did say the word variety, and that's exactly what I felt when I've been listening to the advanced copy of the record. Of course, Kreator is an institution in heavy metal and well over 35 years now plus, and you know the band's sound, but like I said, there's a lot of different things that sort of came up. I wouldn't say as experimental as the years of Renewal or Endorama or anything like that, but I mean, you know that it's Kreator, but at the same time, like you said, there are quite a few sort of surprises that come in throughout various parts of the songs. Now, did you feel that was something that had to be done, or did Arthur have much of an input into the songwriting process as well?
You don't really plan those things. I think it all comes naturally. It's more like almost like a musical journey into your inner self, into your subconscious, and the things that come out are like sometimes, like you said, more surprises. And I'm also surprised of how some of the songs sound today. And of course, Arthur did a lot of. He helped us to tweak the songs, to put the songs into form. He helped us to find the raw yet very precise sounds of the record. And he helped us to still have a vibe that feels kind of loose, but it's not. It's very direct, very in your face, but it's kind of like, it's not so. The record doesn't sound perfect in the sense of like everything is in the sense of clinical, you know what I mean? So I'm really happy with the production, and I'm happy with the way it came out. It's a cool album.
And again, it's rare today for certain bands to have such a long career, especially in music. I mean, you know, and what I've always felt every time I hear a new Kreator album, there is always such energy on the album because, you still have such a love and a passion for it, whereas some bands can kind of just, I guess for the word, phone it in a little bit. They kind of sort of just tick all the boxes and bang, here's another record, and it's kind of like, oh, okay. Whereas for you as a songwriter, there's always just so much energy that comes through the music, and I believe that's not just only your passion for playing the music, but I believe to a degree it also works towards your physical health as well. I think that plays a huge part, especially when there's artists that have been going as long as you guys have. So do you believe that definitely has a massive impact on keeping your energy up to continue to play such ferocious music?
As we all get older, we definitely have to take care of our bodies and our mental and physical health, of course. Um, but I think that it reflects in the music. It definitely does. Um, Playing this form of this style that we play, it's sometimes very intense, very violent, very brutal thrash metal. And I think being in a cool physical and mental shape helps you to get this, to kind of like get this, to bring this to life, really. And I'm talking about bringing this to life because, like you said earlier, some bands just, or once you get older, you get more mellow, you get more whatever. But I think Kreator, I mean, we're known for a certain sound, and the sound is it's in itself is very physical. It's very demanding, and we're all making sure that we um, um, kind of like contribute to the music by just focusing on it. It's a strong belief, and it's a strong um, focus on what's important, and we're all like that. Everyone in the band contributes to that, and we're all like very much focused on the best results.
And of course, lyrically with the band, I mean, you've been always quite prolific about how you feel about the world that we're in, and I don't think we're short of any ideas to write about or even, be frustrated about, because the state of the world currently is at a really all-time low to a heavy degree. So I was about to ask you what drives you to to continue writing aggressive music, but you just have to turn on the TV if you still watch it, and there's a whole bunch of ideas right there to go. I mean, how have you, I guess, coped throughout the last several years of the adversities that things have been thrown at just about everyone across the planet?
Try to not lose my mind over it. I try to not consume too many news and too many details of what's going on because it can get frustrating. And we all, like I said, um, we cannot lose our enthusiasm for what it's important for us, and that's the music, and that's um, of course the lyrics, like you said, um, having very chaotic world and a very dark state of the world at this point. Um, we definitely have a lot of inspiration when it comes to lyrics. But I'd rather not have that and have the world come to peace more. I mean, talking about the war in Ukraine, talking about the pandemic and all that, it's all very unnecessary. I mean, I could find inspiration from different sources. I don't need the world to fall apart.
Hmm. Now, if I was to, have a chat with you in 1985 after the release of the debut album Endless Pain and just said, Mille,
Mhm.
you're still going to be writing aggressive thrash metal music in the year 2022 and up to album number 15, what do you reckon your response would have been?
My response would have been, hopefully, this you're telling me the truth because when you're that young, you don't know what's going to happen, and you're not thinking in these categories. You're not
Hmm.
thinking in '85, the year 2022 seems so far away. Even the year 2000 was set as like the almost like the year 2000 was science fiction for
Yep.
us back then, and now we're in 2022, which is like, I mean, when you now that you're saying it, it's kind of like strange. But then again, life goes on, and I'm just very, very, very thankful and happy that we're still here. And it wasn't planned or anything. we didn't have a career plan where we go like, yeah, in the year 2022 we do our 15th album or something like that,
Hmm.
the year in '85. But of course, we wanted to be a band, and we wanted to this to be, especially once I did the first album, I knew that this is what I wanted to do with my life, and um, I was very, very lucky that I had the support from the metal community that, and I can still do this to this point on time, and I can still do it in an amazing quality, and I have great people that I can work with. I have a great band, and it's fantastic. It's great. And so to answer your question, I would say, yeah, hopefully you're right, maybe.
I'm going to go through a couple of the records in the discography. I'm going to pick a couple of titles at random, and I just want you to tell me one great memory that you have from that sort of period. So
Mhm.
let's go with Pleasure to Kill, 1986. When that record came out, what's the one memory that sticks in your mind from that period of your career in Kreator?
I remember the wall, the Berlin Wall, because our studio was right at Checkpoint Charlie, which was based right at the wall. We could see the wall from the studio, and crazy times, amazing times that felt like something's happening, something's really going to happen, and we produced with Harris Jones at the time, and it was our second album, so we were really focused. We had more time writing the songs, and I still to this day it's one of our best albums. So good times, good memories.
I've got a memory too. When I first heard that record on vinyl, which I still own the copy, of course, I remember after the intro into, Ripping Corpse, I remember I just took it off the turntable and the cover, and I just went, "This is too much." It literally, it did. I think the cover's got a bit of a bend because I sort of just frisbee the cover like across the room, like, "What the fuck is this? This is just, what am I getting into?" Because it was like, as they say, how heavy can you go? So that's my memory of Pleasure to Kill. But let's talk about Renewal, 1992. What comes up in your mind when you reflect upon that era of Kreator, album number 6?
Renewal. I'd say that was like more like um, it was more like an album where we were all like trying to do, how do I put this? We're trying new things. We're definitely trying new things, and it was an amazing, very cool time, and we were in Florida, recording the album, and it was good times. Also, like we learned a lot musically. We had a lot of um, uh, new influences, and we were, yeah. I think it was probably one of our most experimental album. You could really say that.
Well, I got my memory from 1993 when the band first toured Australia. I still got the Billboard poster, and I went to the in-store
Yeah,
where,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and you were, of course, signing vinyl, and you signed a bunch of my stuff. And then I asked you the question because obviously Renewal had just come out, so it was like
Mm.
definitely very different for you vocally. And I remember I sheepishly, nervously asked you, "So are you going to sing the old songs the old way and the new songs the new way?" And you just shrugged your shoulders at me and went, "I don't know." I said, "Thanks, mate. I'll see you at the gig." So it was an awesome gig, by the way, too. So that's some memories there.
Uh,
Let's jump ahead to 2001. And a lot of people would say around the late 90s, early 2000s, metal was at a low point, which is a crock of shit in my opinion, because, obviously I was on the
mhm,
radio still at that time. And,
mhm.
it was all about Korn and the new sort of vibe of whatever was
Yeah.
happening in metal. But you came out with a
Mhm.
crushing album called Violent Revolution, 2001. What's your memory about that record?
Um, Violent Revolution was more like almost like a reinvention. We had our new guitar player, Sammy, in the band, and the vibe was very enthusiastic. It was the first time that I worked with Andy Sneap, and Andy was just like me. He was also my age, and he was like a metalhead, and I've known him from back when he was playing with Sabbath. And I thought I think he did a Testament record that I really really liked, and So we were like trying to. I told him that how much I liked that record, and when we were in the studio, it was just like we clicked, and it was amazing working with Andy, and it was amazing recording the um the album Violent Revolution in England. It was like, yeah, like I said, it was like a new kickstart into the new millennium. It was cool.
And I think you're talking about the Testament album, The Gathering, when Dave Lombardo was in on drums. That came out in '99, I do recall.
Yeah, true. That was the album.
Yeah, that's a
Absolutely.
great record too, and I think that was at a time when I think the band had some label issue or the label went bankrupt right around the time of the release of that album, and that album kind of fell through the cracks. But we still feature it heavily on the station because I believe it's still one of the strongest Testament records. And again, speaking of other bands that have got 30 plus careers under the belts, I mean, do you still listen to some of those bands' new records that are coming out, ones that that are still of course, thrashing out or rocking out or whatever? I mean, have you sort of kept up to date with, the classic sort of bands that are still doing some great stuff like Testament?
Ab- Absolutely. Yeah. I think the last Testament album was really cool. I really liked it, and I think thrash metal is in a very healthy state of mind, and it's in a very healthy state. In general, it's the classic bands are releasing amazing albums still. Exodus, Testament, you name them, Death Angel, all these bands are still putting out crushing records. Even the new Destruction is really, really good. And so yeah, um, mm, I think it's a good time for lot of the bands have their shit together, it seems, and they come up with cool stuff still to this day.
And again, going back to the earlier days of recording compared to now, with the blessing of home studios, along with a lot of the newer bands, will never really understand the struggle, so to speak, compared to what bands like yourselves have gone through. Having all right, you've got studio time for this amount of time, and you only got X amount of money, and that's why I believe some of those records of those periods really show such an honesty because of the pressure that was on a lot of bands going through that system of the record industry at the time. Budget, boom, get it, play the best you can. We're not going to fix everything. You just do your best. So I think a lot of that innocence is really lost today, I hear, in music, because, as you said, the world of studios today, people can get carried away with making things absolutely perfect because as listeners today, we're kind of been conditioned to perfection. And the minute we hear an album that sounds a bit kind of sloppy, people are like, oh, that sounds really bad. But it's like, but hang on a minute. That's how it was done. That's why I love hearing the early Van Halen records and all that, because
Yes.
there's such an honesty and a purity in there. And I believe that's kind of missing. Do you agree with that?
Depending on how you use the modern day technology, there's ways of like quantizing everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's ways of playing stuff and using the technology for your advantage. And that's what we do. We're not anti Pro Tools, but we use it quite. We use it like a band. We use it more like a recording device than the magic stick of fixing all the mistakes that we do. I mean, especially on the new record, we had the album sounds more. We did not play the. It's not a sloppy record, but it's a very loose record. The energy and the vibe is kind of loose, and that's because of the fact that we recorded everything analog. And then put it into digital, and then worked on it a little bit. But what you hear is on the record is definitely the band playing, and I totally get what you mean. I know a lot of bands that program their drums also, and that's a no go for Kreator. And we have one of the best drummers in thrash metal in our band, and we would never do that. So yeah, I mean, on the other hand, it's easier to do. We use this technology also to do demos, and the demos are that we record nowadays, they sound almost like records. So it's like it's a blessing and a curse, I guess.
Mm. And you mentioned about drummers, of course, the mighty Ventor. And okay, he's left the band on a couple of occasions, but what do you think's kept your relationship together from, going back to the debut album of Endless Pain in 1985 to current day now? Because it is hard. People say being in a band's like a marriage. Some people can hold it together, others just can't. So, what do you think's kept your, your companionship together through music with you and Ventor after all these years, Mille?
I'd say it's the friendship, of course, and it's also the fact that we're both mature enough now that we know how to handle each other's mistakes. And like you said, it's like a marriage. But on the other hand, it's also the passion for the music, and we feel the same way when it comes to metal. And of course, we have a long history. He's one of the people that I've known all my life, and he's still my drummer. So it's great. We get along great, and we're still friends. And um, same with the other guys. We're all friends.
Now, with the current plans of the record being released and touring, I know a lot of bands are still holding out for a while to go to various parts of the world due to the lingering pandemic. So, is there a plan for Kreator to return to Australia in the coming, hopefully, months rather than years?
Yeah, I think we focus on the beginning of next year, and I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to come to Australia. I heard that it's possible again to do proper tours there, and we're there as soon as possible.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to having you back, Millie, and it's always a pleasure to reconnect with you. And again, the new record's awesome. So, hats off to you and massive respect. So what we'll do now, we'll go for a 3 for 3 just because the band's got such an extensive and amazing catalogue. So we can get you to choose, you know what? Let's go 3 albums. You choose them and choose a song off each. So let's go with the first one. What album do you want to
You're talking about Kreator albums, or is it
Yes.
from different bands?
Kreator
Okay.
albums?
I would of course go first. I would go for the new album, and you can play the song, the title track, Hey du Alles.
Yep.
Then we can go to Phantom Antichrist. You can also play the title track, Phantom Antichrist.
Yep.
And maybe something classic. Maybe go to Pleasure to Kill and play also the title track, Pleasure to Kill.
That's one thing I've noticed today. A lot of bands don't use with the album title, and that's why I love when I hear Kreator stuff. You've always, stayed in that realm of, the song called Endless Pain, and then there's Pleasure to Kill, Pleasure to Kill. And I think that's something that, it's kind of a bit lost today because I always love that when, let's hear the title track, boom. It always sounds good on radio.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
well, let's get into some Kreator now. And again, it's been a pleasure, Mille, and let's hope we can reconnect when you come to Australia in 2020. I've got to check the years, 2023, because the last couple of years have just kind of whizzed by. And I wish you all the best in thrash metal and in health and everything else.
Thank you, Andrew. Take care. I'll see you in Australia.
Likewise. Let's check out some Kreator here on andrewhogue.com. Thanks, Mille.
Thank you. Bye.